Okay, so everything is going to be recorded from here on, including the audio. I just have to check because sometimes I forget to switch the audio channel to the external microphone, and it will just be completely silent. Okay, silent movie. And you can imagine how useful silent movie is for teaching programming classes, where the same screen stays for like 10 minutes and there's nothing going on at all. Because I was explaining verbally, right? Alrighty. So I'm going to hide this one for now. And the first thing we do is to go to the internet, go to moodle.losreals.edu. I do not use Desire to Learn, and as a result, I use Moodle, and everything that we need to access is there as well. Or, that's going to be a good starting point. I'm going to get rid of some of these tabs so that it's not confusing. All right.
Sorry, what website is doing again? Los Rios, right?
I'm going to put in the URL right now. So it is Moodle, moodle.losreals.edu. I'll write it on the whiteboard just so that you guys have a way to refer back to it. It's moodle.losreals.edu. So instead of D2L, it is Moodle. It is another learning management system, kind of like D2L. This one is open source. It can live on a LAMP architecture, whereas D2L is a strictly Microsoft platform type of application. Okay. Does everybody know what is LAMP? Since this is a Linux class, I'm kind of assuming you guys know a little bit about what is LAMP. Go ahead.
Linux, Apache, SQL, PHP.
MySQL and PHP/Perl/Python. The P can be any one of those open source scripting languages. Yeah. MySQL can be PostgreSQL as well, which is the other open source database engine, which I actually prefer. But basically, it's an open source stack of operating system, server software, and so on. So the entire thing is basically free, no licensing fee. You're only paying for the hardware. And Moodle can live on a platform like that. All right. So once you get to Moodle, you can just go ahead and sign in. As a student, when you sign in, you use your 7-digit student ID, starting with a W and your district password. So when you go to log in, this is where you type in your W followed by 7-digit student ID, and then the password is just your usual password. I do not see any ad or wait list on my row sheet, so I'm assuming you guys are all in class already. Okay.
Probably people come late.
Sorry?
Probably people coming late. Parking is very difficult.
I don't think parking should be an issue at this time. This is kind of late, so usually we don't have a parking situation at this time. All right. So are there any questions at this point? So let's go ahead and log in. You go ahead and log in as a student. I'm going to log in as an instructor. So what you see and what I see will be slightly different, but for the most part the same. I also have everything zoomed all the way in. If I zoom out a little bit, this is actually my other classes. Okay, so when you first log in, you will see something like this, okay? And if you're already enrolled in this class, which is ciss342, should appear under My Courses. Is that okay? Now, you guys don't have to follow me exactly here, okay? You just have to know where to find information about this class. Is that good? Are we good to proceed? Okay. So we click ciss342, Implementing Linux Operating System Security. I have to, yes, go ahead.
Do I need to put my hard disk drive now?
We don't have to do anything yet at this
Okay.
point. So I'm going to show you guys when to do something about it. Okay. I hope it can be refunded just in case the class gets canceled. I hope that's not the case, but it's good to have a plan B. All right. So this is the main website. The curriculum, you don't have to read it. It's really just what is driving this class. Okay, doesn't matter who is teaching this class. They still have to teach to the curriculum. Okay, so that kind of dictates what type of student learning outcome and also topics we have to go through in this class. The next one is the URL to some prof's channel on YouTube. In other words, if you follow this link, you'll be able to find all the video recording that of all of my video recording. But since I teach multiple classes, you will find videos for other classes as well. It will be clear which one is for this class because I tag ciss342 for this class and CISP360 for my other class and CISP310 for the other class of mine. So it will be pretty clear by the time you get there. General forum is a place for you guys to talk to me or talk to each other if you have any questions. Okay, but you only use the general forum when the topic does not belong to any specific forum with the other topics. Okay, so if you have any questions about the interactive teacher-learner agreement, otherwise known as a syllabus, this is a place to post your questions. All right, so let's go straight into the syllabus. I don't call this a syllabus anymore for an obvious reason. Let me show you the reason why I don't call it a syllabus. I'm really glad to see that 13 people have completed it already. Good job. That's a lot of reading. I know because I wrote all of it. And we'll go ahead and do a preview. All right, so if you just look at the scroll bar here, see how small the scroll bar is all the way at the corner here? That kind of shows you the length of this syllabus. Since this is an 8-week class and we only have 8 actual face-to-face meetings, I'm not going to spend too much time to read the entire thing. So I'll just kind of point out the important stuff. You are going to read the detailed stuff, okay? So I will skip the section information part because that's really pulling straight out of the schedule. This part you can keep in mind because this is what you're supposed to be able to do after completing this class. So is a description of what you should be able to do after you get through this class. And remember, for each section, you want to click one of the 2 choices. I'm hoping most people will pick the first one to stay in the class, but for someone who do not agree with the syllabus, you can choose the second one and not to stay with the class. The second section talks about me and how to contact me by email, but since this is a hybrid class, I would much rather have you guys to contact me by the forum or by messaging on Moodle, so this way we keep a log. Why do you think I want to keep a log of all communications? What is special about this semester? Has anyone of your instructors told you? Yep.
I was noticing that there was a lot less 100% online classes, so I was guessing maybe the district is requiring you guys to have,
No, that's, as far as I know, that's not the reason. Yep, go ahead. Accreditation, yes. Okay, so what is the significance of accreditation? Yep, getting the funding. We want to remain as an accredited college. Okay, and also, so for the accreditation, they want a team is going to come on campus to kind of look at how we teach classes, and they want to look at hybrid and fully online classes and see if we have REC or regular effective contact. In other words, is the instructor contacting the students sufficiently to resemble a face-to-face class experience. And that's why I want to keep everything logged on Moodle so that the accreditation team members can just go through Moodle and find out how we communicate. Okay, so that's the reason. If you send an email to me, then I would have to give a copy of my email to the accreditation team members to show them that yes, see, we got all the communication there, and that's not as convenient. My office hours are Monday and Wednesdays. It will be from noon to 1 o'clock. On Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, it's from 8 to 9 o'clock, which is not really exactly good for you guys. Well, I'm usually in my office before this class. Okay, at least an hour before this class, I'll be in my office. So in case you need to talk to me, even though the office hour is not listed, I'll be there. But to be sure, you can email me first, just to be sure, okay, are you going to be in your office at 5 o'clock? If I answered yes, then you know for sure I'll be there. Yep, go ahead.
I'm new here in this school. Where is that in A?
It's Liberal Arts 133. This is
120.
125, so it's one aisle to that side.
Okay.
Yep. And it's the room that has a glass door, okay, glass swinging door. You'll be able to see. It's the BCS division office.
Okay.
Business and Computer Science Division. All right, and as it says right here, if you need to arrange for another time to meet with me, go ahead and let me know, and we can just arrange for a time that you and I are both available. I'm gonna skip the stuff that is not as important here. Okay. Regular effective contact is just kind of shows you guys, how we can interact. Office hour, face-to-face, just come to my office and we can talk about stuff. Lab time, right here, right now. Office hour online simply means I'll be in my office, but you can kind of chat with me using Moodle. Okay. Forums, which is online as well, but it's not real time. And messaging, which is also online and it's not real time. Email and phone, it's okay, but it's not, since it does not leave a log for the accreditation team members to go through. If we can avoid email or phone, that would be best. Okay, but it's okay if you want to use those means to contact me. Time frame is basically saying if you email, you allow up to 1 day for me to respond, from Monday to Friday, and I will check once in the weekend, during the weekend. Well, I would say at least once, okay? So most of the time I would check multiple times, but count on me checking at least once during the weekend. Etiquette policy, I'm not gonna go through the whole section because we are short on time. I'll just basically say common sense, okay? Common sense stuff, don't be offensive, or do anything that you would not normally do at a workplace. Okay, that's basically the bottom line. All right, so just make sure that you click, the option of, I understand or I acknowledge, for each one. First day of class, this is the first day of class, so whoever is not showing up today will be dropped, okay, because it is important to show up for the first day of class. Accommodations, this is important. I will definitely make sure that we address this particular point. Anyone who requires disabled student services, you need to let DSPS, the DSPS department know about that, okay? And it will be helpful if I know about that as well, okay? You don't have to talk to me or raise your hand and let me know right now, but at some point I need to know about it. The phone number of the DSPS office is 8382, and the TTY, the teletype number is 8798. So this may be important to some people. Okay. Excessive absence is basically 6% or more absences. Now in an 8-week class, 6% will fly by just like that. So that basically means, from here on, we basically have to check in at least twice a week so that it is not considered 6% or more of absences. I'll keep you guys busy. Okay, I'll give you stuff to do to make sure that you won't be idling for this class. And I'll be taking roll as well. Okay, when we meet face to face, I'll take roll. Okay, moving on. Certain excuses or certain absences are going to be excused. I'm going to excuse health, military, and jury duty type of absences. Somebody just reminded me with jury duty, you can usually defer it to like Christmas time or December, which will be best because missing a class, especially when we only have 8 weeks of classes, is a big deal. Okay, so it's not going to be good for the learning experience. Late policy is there's no late policy, which means no late submission is going to be graded. Okay, so you guys have to turn in stuff on time. Okay, got to do it on time. Academic dishonesty or integrity, depending on how you want to look at it. The bottom line is this part here. Let me just kind of zoom in a little bit. So the bottom line of academic integrity is the grade of a particular assessment of a particular student is going to reflect the academic performance of that particular student, and only of that student who turned in the work. Okay, it's not going to be reflecting the academic performance of somebody else. And it's also going to be at the time of the assessment, not before and not after the assessment, and following all the rules of the assessment as well as general rules discussed in the syllabus, which is independence and original work. Using only resources that are allowed by the instructor. So most of the time, I'm fairly lenient in terms of what resources you can use. For a class like this, if I give you a test on, okay, here's a virtual machine, secure it, okay? And most of the time, I will let you read my own notes. You can browse on the internet, you can Google. The only thing I would definitely not allow people to do is live communication during the test. Okay, but anything, you can bring a textbook if you want to. You can look up the internet if you want to, as long as it does not have any live communication component in it. Is that okay so far? Are there any questions about that? Because I think, at work, you should be allowed to, look up books, look up, resources on the internet. There's no need to waste your brain cells memorizing all the terms, okay, or the little steps of how to do something.
Are all the quizzes and tests done live in class? Or
I
do you do them at
have
home?
I have not decided yet. I would probably do that, and use the face-to-face time for assessment, and then the offline time or the online time. Actually, the online time, you can do the reading and do some of the homework assignments, the lab stuff. All right. Student rights and responsibilities. It is good to know that. Okay, it's not just responsibilities. This document also talks about student rights. Okay, so as a student, what kind of rights do you have? What if an instructor wrongfully accuses you of something? Okay, what steps can you take? So that document is useful for that purpose. Classroom behavior expectations. In this particular classroom, the most annoying thing to me is this distracting stuff. Okay, people who are distracting other students from learning. So those stuff, definitely they have to stop. I know this is 6 o'clock, and most of you, work during the day. You might feel tired. You might doze off a little bit. That's okay with me. Okay, you might want the next student to help kind of wake you up. Okay, so you don't miss too much stuff. But it doesn't offend me in any way. It's just excessive chatting, anything that is disruptive. That's a big no-no. No food and no drink in the classroom. We actually have a big sign here that talks about that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and respect those rules. Are there any questions about expected behavior in the classroom? Just the usual common sense stuff. If you have a question, raise your hand. I have not been known to ignore questions. Okay. So, if you have a question, just raise your hand. Let me finish the sentence or the sentences that I need to go through, and I'll address your question. Okay. Moving on, I will skip this portion. Okay, how to attend lectures, because you can read about it. Most of you should know this stuff already. How to succeed in this class, I will also skip it. You have to read it. But I'm going to skip it because we don't have enough time to go through this in the classroom. Mostly it is common sense stuff, but I do want to point out one thing. This class, as well as all of my programming classes, they are not about memorization. They're not really about, can I memorize a whole bunch of material? It's open book, open notes. Why are you memorizing anything? Okay? It's about the understanding of the concepts and the ability to apply those concepts and problem solve. That is what I'll be testing in this class. Are we doing okay so far? Okay. So if you think of an analogy of cars, okay, car repair, I don't really care whether you can name all the components inside an engine, or you can memorize the the size of each and every single bolt of all the popular engines today. Okay, there's no need to do it. We can just look it up. Okay, I want people to understand how an engine works. I want people to understand how the different components of an engine interact, and I will give you a broken engine, and you're going to fix it. That is what I'm going to do in this class. Not the engine thing, but that's an analogy. Okay. Yes.
You just say that open books and notes. I assume we don't have books for this special.
There's no actual book that I'm going to use, so I have all my material written. Okay, it's on Moodle. You're welcome to print it out if you want to put it on a piece of paper. Print it out, bring it to a test. Okay, so I don't really care about how you want to bring that material in. If you find a good textbook on Linux security, and you think, oh, that might be helpful, bring it in. Okay? The only thing you cannot bring is a friend, and help you along as you do it. That's about it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So so I spend some time to explain what is understanding and stuff like that. So it's a lot of stuff to read, but I personally think it is important. I want to kind of touch on independence a little bit. I do not expect 100% independence in terms of learning in a class. Because if you can learn 100% independently all the material that I'm going to go through, why am I here? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not 100%. So the question is, when you are doing the homework assignment, when you are taking a test, well, especially homework assignment, because that really is the way to prepare for your test. When do you think and say, well, I think I have just, I just hit a snag and I cannot continue at this point. When do you, start to say, okay, I might need somebody's help to kind of like, okay, give me some suggestions. Okay, different people have different thresholds. Some people look at a problem, they think for 2 seconds, and they go like, okay, I give up. Somebody tell me the answer. Some people think for 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes later, they go like, well, I think I'm stuck. I want to ask someone for an answer. Some people think for 2 hours. Okay, they try to solve the problem for 2 hours, and when they're stumped after 2 hours, then they'll go ahead and ask someone. Some people think about the problem for 2 days. If they cannot solve the problem in 2 days, then they ask people. Okay, they ask another person to go like, okay, somebody can give me a clue about how to proceed with this. So different people have different comfort level. I am the kind of person with a 2-day threshold. Okay, so I remember when I took physics in high school, I was trying to understand the concept of acceleration, because I can understand distance, I can understand velocity or speed. Acceleration is a little bit more abstract because it's not something you can actually visualize easily. So to me, it was like, oh, okay, I really just cannot get this concept. It took me about 2 days to really kind of get a really good, solid grasp on that concept. Okay, so the key is, if someone is giving up too early, what is the consequence of that?
You lost.
Well, you're not losing anything. It's you might ask someone to help you, give you a clue, but you're losing the opportunity to train your own mind to solve a problem. Okay, that is what that person is going to lose, is the practice to do it. Okay, starting this year, I'm using this analogy. So let's say we have a bicycle cyclist, okay, training for a tournament. Okay, how do you think a cyclist trains for a tournament? Coasting downhill? But it's easy, right? You can enjoy the breeze, enjoy the view, and you don't have to pedal too hard. Or is it going uphill, downhill, to make it as realistic as possible? Okay. The bottom line is, this class hopefully this class is going to prepare you to get jobs related to, setting up Linux workstations, or that require some understanding of computer security. And that's going to require you to think on the spot. Okay? If you think about all the different fields of computer science, okay, we have computer programming, we have database stuff, we have web stuff, we have game stuff, and then we have security. Which one do you think is the most dynamic and require people to think on the spot the most?
Security.
Security. Why?
Because it's very important.
It is important. Everything is important, okay? To some people, gaming is important as well, right?
Privileges,
Go ahead.
Because there's always new threats around.
Yeah.
Exactly, because there are adversaries,
Yeah.
okay? Now, for gaming, for web stuff and whatnot, there's competition, okay? Competition kind of push people, faster. They have to work faster. They have to work better. But it's not adversarial. With computer security, it is adversarial, okay? Before I forget, I can show you a website, and you can visualize the whole thing about what do you mean by adversarial?
Newton.
And I have to remember the keywords to search for that. Huh? Morse?
Oh, are you talking about Norse?
Yeah, Norse, that's it. Norse
Should be like
security.
IP Viking.
Is it this Norse Corp? Yep, it is. All right, so it takes a little bit of time to set up because it needs flash and all kinds of stuff like that. It looks like World War III. Stuff is getting launched and lobbed around, across the world. This is a live picture, by the way. This is a live picture. It is not pre-recorded. It is not rehearsed. It's not made up. This is not a simulation. This is what is going on right now. And you can see, it's on other computers it is a lot smoother, but this one is kind of jaggy. But you can see, all the stuff that is being lobbed from China, Russia, and many other countries, and the destination is usually in the United States. Each one is representing an attack, or at least an attempt to attack.
So from there, going here.
Yep,
Oh, wow.
yep, yep.
They love us.
Yep, go ahead.
What's in Seattle?
Sorry?
It looks like Washington, maybe?
It's probably Seattle. That may be the reason why Riot has recently moved their server from Seattle to Chicago.
Really?
For those of you who don't know Riot, they make League of Legends.
Yeah, I made my ping go on like 60.
Yeah, I used to have 35. Now it's like 80. It's like, I'm not a good player to begin with. Now I have something to blame on. It's like, I'm not playing well because of my ping time.
I played like a week, unlocked one character, and then stopped playing.
Yep. But this is a good picture. It is visually showing you, why security is important. Even though many of the attacks are quote unquote automated by scripts, some of these are not. Okay. So even if you have set up a system to fend off the usual attacks, there will be some that is crafty that can go through. Okay. And in those cases, even if you cannot stop it, after the fact, you will still have to analyze and find out, okay, how did this system got hacked? What is the extent of the hack? And so on and so forth. So you have to think on your feet, okay? There's no such thing as, I'll deal with it tomorrow, okay? Because tomorrow, your employer may not exist anymore. All right, so that's why, I think independence is very important. Don't give up too quickly, okay? Studying before class is helpful as well. Grading standard is something I do have to go through. All right. So I'm going to skip all the way to the end first, and then we'll go back a little bit and talk about it. So I will just kind of talk about the boundaries of the letter grades for this class. This applies to all of my classes. To get a D, somebody has to get at least 12.5% of all the possible scores. To get a C, someone needs to get 37.5% or more out of all the possible scores. A B is 62.5% or more, and an A is 87.5% or more. Sounds pretty easy, but if you look at the distribution of my grade in all of my classes, they are about the same distribution as an equivalent class at UC Davis. So I'm not sure whether that's easy or not, but they match other colleges, other universities. But I do want to kind of go back and talk about what does it mean when somebody get a particular grade. I'm going to scroll a little bit because the screen, the lower portion of the screen, is not visible to people in the back. And F is easy. Okay, nothing is turned in. Okay, well, that's pretty fair to get an F. D means something is turned in, but it does not meet all the core requirement, the core criteria of that particular assignment or assessment piece. A core criterion is one that is essential, fundamental, or foundational. Okay, that's really important stuff. It's not icing on the cake. It is the cake itself. Okay. A C means somebody turned in some work. It meets all the core requirement, but no more than that. In other words, you buy a cake, okay, and you just get the sponge cake portion. There's no icing, there's no whipped cream, there's nothing on it except for just the sponge cake portion. It's still good in a way, but I wouldn't buy it. You can still call that a cake. A D means it's not even a cake. Okay, somebody mixed in some eggs, some flour, and some sugar, and it's just turned into a big mess, and they say, okay, here's your cake. That's a D cake. And F means you just get a pan. There's nothing in it. A B is good work. Okay, B means you got a cake. It's got some icing on it, but it's not done to perfection. You can look at it and go like, well, it can still be improved, but I'll take it. This is still a good cake. Okay. And A means you are impressed. Okay, you go to Costco, you pick up your cake and go like, wow. Okay, I'm speechless. This has everything that I have ever wanted on a cake. That's an A. So that's basically how I look at the grades. A, B, C, D, F. Okay. And moving on to assessment activities. This might change a little bit for this class. I have not decided yet. Homework assignments, okay, stuff that you do at home, will be 20% of your grade. There will be 3 exams. The first one is going to be about 1/3 through the class. The second one is about 2/3 through the class, and of course we have a final exam. These will take up 20, 20, and 40% of your actual grade. Are there any questions about the distribution of your grade? No questions? Okay. This means someone who aced the final exam will pass this class because it's more than 37.5%. I have not seen that. Okay, I have not seen anyone who did not turn in homework assignments, flunked both first and second exam, and just aced the final exam and just walked out and go, ha, I passed this class. It is not a challenge, so don't take it as a challenge. I'm simply stating the numbers here add up that way. This is a tentative schedule of topics. Okay, I will explain a little bit about this as well. Okay. The curriculum was written a long time ago. All right, so I really think that I need to change the curriculum to make it more modern, okay, to make it more practical by today's standard. And let me just get out of this screen first, go back to the main screen here. I will just leave it. When you see a topic having a title of new, it simply means it is reorganized. Okay, I'm reorganizing the topics a little bit so it flows better and it makes more sense. Okay, it still has the same content as in the curriculum, but when you read the curriculum, there are a lot of redundancies and terms that do not seem to make a whole lot of sense, or stuff that does not even matter anymore. Like it will talk about email client programs. Well, in Windows, we use Outlook. Okay, it is an email client program. But in Linux, very few people would actually use a dedicated email program. So the relevancy is pretty much not there with Linux systems. So that's why I'm rearranging things a little bit to make the topics flow a little bit better, to make things organized a little bit better. So you might find the new organization not matching the curriculum, but all the stuff should still be there. All right. Are there any questions at this point? No questions? All right. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of these links here. If there is a link, it means there's a reason why it exists. If it is not if it's a forum, it means it is for people to communicate. Like in this case, we have an introduction forum. It means all the stuff related to this introduction topic should go here into this forum. Okay? If it is something other than this and it's just really general, you can use the general forum. When you see this symbol, which is like a piece of paper with a check mark on it, it is a quiz. Okay? But when you click on this one, it really is not that much of a quiz. The reason why I say that is because when you take the quiz, maybe not here. Let me go back to the edit screen. You cannot edit the settings of a quiz, but I can. Okay, when you look at the timing, do you see a close time for this particular quiz? It's disabled, okay? It doesn't have a close time, which means you can do it anytime you want to, okay? What if you do it, you turn it in, and you're not getting a really good grade, okay? Your grade is not what you want. Can you try again? How many times can you try it?
Unlimited.
Unlimited, but anything that's done after the end of this 8-week class, I'm not going to count it in. Okay, so there is an actual limit, but that's like, the 8-week limit. And I'm going to take the highest rate, okay? So it's not the average. If you figure out eventually all the right answers, you get a perfect score. So the idea is not to have people to copy the answer from somebody else. It's just for people to just do it. Okay, just do it. If you don't get a perfect score, do it again. Okay, figure out what is wrong and do it again. All right, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the questions. So I'm going to do a preview. I will not give you the answers, but I will kind of show you the format. This is the new way of how I am going to deliver content of this class. Instead of giving you just static HTML documents that you read and fall asleep, I'm going to break it up into small sections, and at the end of each small section, there's a question that should be relatively easy to understand and answer. Okay? So we'll take a look at this question here. In the context of computer security, a client computer is essentially a personal computer used by an end user or a workstation at work used by a worker. The term client has nothing to do with being a client in business, but rather being a client in a client-server model. And I'll explain client-server model later, okay? But that's why we call a client computer a client computer. Now this particular paragraph has a lot of significance, okay? Because we've went full swing onto one side, and now we are swinging back to the other side. What we are talking about is, let's take a look at Microsoft Office. Okay? Even 3 years ago, most people have to install Microsoft Office as an application program. It takes up a lot of space on the hard drive. Same thing goes for Creative Suite, Photoshop and stuff like that. 3 or 4 years ago, you better have like, what, 2-3 gigs of space available to install that stuff. Okay? So that means we are not using the client-server model in that case. What is happening to these Office programs? Word processing, spreadsheet, and stuff like that.
Migrating to the cloud.
It's migrating to the cloud. So what do you need to make use of Google Documents?
Just a browser.
Just a browser, exactly. Does it have to be Internet Explorer? Does it have to be Chrome? Does it have to be Firefox? Nope. It can be any browser, which also means the operating system does not matter at all. Okay? Everything is now moving in that direction. TurboTax is moving in that direction. All right? So that means, the focus on a client computer is actually getting more important now than ever. Okay? Chromebook is a very classic example of a client computer because that's a client-only thing on the Chromebook. What do you store on the Chromebook?
basic operating system and whatever solid media you have.
Maybe some of your bookmarks, right?
Yeah.
But with Chrome, with Google, your bookmarks are actually synced with the cloud service also. So let's say you have been using your favorite Chromebook, okay, for everything that you do. Okay, you use Google Documents, you use Google Spreadsheet, and so on and so forth. Okay, and you feel okay, I don't need to install anything. One day when you're about to go to work, you drop your Chromebook and then your car rolled over it. What's going to happen? You lost
Lost a Chromebook.
You lost a Chromebook. What about all that data? What about all the work that you have done? Just get the next Chromebook, sign in, it's all there again. You just lost $200, that's it. But you did not lose any data. Okay? As opposed to the usual way of doing things 5 years ago. You have to install everything. Your documents is on your local hard drive. Okay? Your TurboTax is on the local hard drive. You roll over that laptop computer and you don't have a backup, I am sorry, it is gone. Okay, so that's kind of a trend, and it's not accounted for by the syllabus, and that's partially why I need to kind of redo it, because all of this swing to use cloud stuff. All right. So the question is, what is a client computer in the context of computer security? It is a computer used by an end user or worker, or it is a computer that is used by a client of a business. I'm not going to answer it. You guys have to figure it out. Question number 2. The easiest way to explain the client-server model is to consider websites, blah, 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 blah. So it's an explanation of a concept, and then at the end there's a question to ask, okay, in this particular context, what is Firefox? Is it an HTTP client? Is it an HTTP server? Or none of the other choices? Okay, I'm not going to give you the answer. You will have to read and find out what the answer is. So that's kind of how I deliver the content of this class these days, is to turn the usual static text stuff into mini quizzes. But you can take it over and over again. You can review it. Okay, once you're done and you have 100%, you can always go back and read this stuff again and again for studying purposes. Are there any questions about the format of how content is delivered in this class? Okay, yep, go ahead.
Have you just not set the grading yet? Because I took it in
No, it's not linked to the actual grade yet, so I haven't really set up all that stuff yet.
Okay, but I'm not even just in the grade itself. I'm saying when I completed the quiz.
That's because it doesn't have an end date.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if it doesn't have an end date, if you look at your grade book, it should be there. Your grade book should be reflected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the quiz itself may not give you the score, but if you look at your grade book, it should have it there. But it's uncategorized. I haven't really organized the categories yet.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so I will leave it up to you guys to go through all of these questions, and instead what I am going to do today is to show you the more important stuff that is kind of difficult to explain, but you're going to have to do it, which is going to install Linux on an external hard drive. And you can see this thing is really kind of long and has all kinds of screenshots. I'm hoping the screenshots will help you, set up the whole thing. So what I'll do is I will kind of describe the big steps first, okay? What steps are involved, and then we'll go into the details of what to do for each step. And this stuff is not on the website, okay? Because I'm giving you an overview of what needs to be done. Okay? So step 1 is to make a rescue thumb drive. So this one can be just a regular thumb drive. Doesn't have to be an external hard drive. Okay, can be an SD card if you have some. Most people have a whole bunch of like 4 gigabyte SD cards from purchasing cameras in the past 5-10 years. Okay, and you have no idea what to do with those 4 gigabyte SD cards because they're too small in terms of capacity for anything today, but yet you don't want to throw them away. So this is a perfect application for those things. The rescue thumb drive is important because you use it to set up the rest. So this is kind of like bootstrap stage for all the stuff that we do in this class. Okay, I am not sure whether I can demonstrate it because it requires some really kind of tricky thing to do. If you want me to demonstrate this, I can do it, but that part may not be recorded because I have to boot back into Windows. Are there any? Do you guys want me to do it or not?
This is, what exactly? The rescue part or the?
To set up the rescue thumb drive. I can show you the whole process of doing this whole thing, today in class, but portions of that may not be recorded because doing screen recording in Windows is not really as easy as it is in Linux. But it will give you a visual idea of how to do it. So I think it may be beneficial to do it.
And you have to do this one before everything else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah, the notes is written in a chronological order, so this is something that you have to do first, and then move on to the next stage, which is the external hard drive, and then the next one is the persistence. Is that okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at this step. Okay, so I'm going to log out from Linux. I can do this step in Linux, but it will be so easy, it's boring. Because it's just downloading a file, run a single command called dd, and I'm done. But in Windows, it's a multiple step kind of thing. It takes a little bit more effort in Windows. All right, so I'm going to stop the recorder at this time and show you how to do this part.